Hey investor friends, I'm Michelle Markey, and while schools are increasingly teaching financial literacy, sadly a lot of people are still struggling with managing their money, paying down their debts, and saving and investing toward retirement. And money affects a lot of our decisions in life, including our relationships with people, as money problems can be a key source of stress in our human relationships. So it's super important and key to be financially literate and have a healthy relationship with money. And so I'll cover some of the current affairs and the strides that schools are making to help make students more financially literate, and what you can do if you feel like you're not getting enough of a financial education in school. And if this sounds good to you, I'd love if you could please like and subscribe to my video and YouTube channel, because I want us to be as financially literate as we can be so we can all have a more financially secure future, and I greatly appreciate it. Thanks. If teachers were grading financial progress in America, they'd probably give it an F, because U.S. household debt hit a record in 2021 of over $15 trillion, and student loan debt hit over $1.5 trillion, and 78% of adults are living paycheck to paycheck, and 2 out of 3 families lack emergency savings, and only 27% of people feel confident that they'll be able to live a financially secure life in retirement, and 35% of Americans believe their household financial situation got worse, and 75% of Americans are winging it when it comes to their financial futures. So clearly a lot of Americans are biting off more than they can chew, and even though this is kind of problematic, being financially literate starts with being aware. So the more that you know, the more that you can decide if you don't want to end up in this kind of despair of financial misery, and then make better decisions so you can have a better financial future. And if you're wondering, financial literacy just means having the ability to understand and to use financial skills and knowledge to manage money and to invest. And research has shown that having financial literacy education in high school is positively linked with better financial outcomes later in life. And the research also shows that if students have had financial education, then they're more likely to have low interest student loans when paying for college, and they're more likely to have better credit scores. And only 21 states actually require high school students to have a personal finance education course in order to graduate. So clearly more progress needs to be made, but states are gradually making more progress with offering financial literacy to begin with in school education. Whether you're a student or a parent of a student and want to advocate on their behalf at the next parent-teacher association meeting, you might want to check if you live in a state that has personal finance as a high school requirement, such as these states that include Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Tennessee, Texas, and Virginia. And even if you don't live in a state that has personal finance in schools, you as a parent can have a conversation with your child at whatever age you think is the best time to start having discussions about money. And this could be as early as when they're 5 or 6, or even if you think it's better to wait until they're 8 or 9 or 10, it's not too early to start having conversations about what it means to be responsible about managing one's money and what are some best ways to invest money, as I'll share another story soon about what one parent did with their child when it comes to teaching them investing lessons. And in general, a lot of people learn about how to manage money when they're at home with their parents or other family members. So don't only rely on financial education in a school system to make sure that your student or you as a student are prepared for real life and whatever you might encounter when you go to college and beyond. And WalletHub identified the most and least financially literate states using survey metrics ranging from high school financial literacy to the share of adults with a rainy day fund. And you can check to see which state you might live in, if it's the most or least financially literate or somewhere in between. And don't dwell on this too much, because the best scoring states only had scores in the high 60s, which normally if we look at a normal grading scale, that might be kind of a grade of D, but according to WalletHub's grading system, they gave the best states a B. So don't sweat it too much if you might be in one of the lower performing states. And if you feel like the financial learning resources aren't the best in your state, the good news is that the internet offers a lot of financial education knowledge. You just have to search through YouTube or across my channel. And one of the videos I did was how you can get the basic money skills that you need to know. So feel free to check out that video. And also while you're at it, take this financial literacy quiz that I talked about in that video and see how you perform short form so you can identify some gaps in your knowledge and where you might want to improve. And in addition, I also have a video about my financial and investing advice for 18-year-olds and teenagers that you can also check out to see what I did to have financial literacy when I was a teenager and the kinds of accounts that I opened and what I recommend teenagers do so you can be financially prepared as you're trying to save up for college or also retirement, because it's never too early to save up for retirement. So there's ways to overcome the extent of financial literacy crisis that we have in the US, and getting some knowledge on the internet is one really good way to go about it. And like I mentioned earlier, empowering kids and young people with the understanding of money and investing experiences can prove to be extremely valuable. And one example of this is how Warren Buffett at age 11 bought his first stock, and he learned from his stockbroker father on how to invest. And there's this awesome article in the New York Times about a mother who saw that her 8-year-old son was really passionate about playing video games and buying discounted games from GameStop. So in December 2019, she decided to buy him 10 shares of GameStop worth $6 a share. And then lo and behold, with all the meme stock trading frenzy, he was able to gain at age 10 a 5,000% return and gained $3,200 in that GameStop stock that he held for at least more than a year. So it shows that there's a power in teaching kids how to invest the right way. And the more that they understand about the stock market and what it means to invest and what are the goals associated with that, then they might be in a better position to make the right financial decisions. And it paid off for both this child and his mother, where he decided to sell his shares when the market price of GameStop was at one of its highest. So they definitely profited in a way that was really ideal, and that allowed that kid to buy way more video games and get a new video game system. And often across financial YouTube videos, I see a lot of comments from people saying that school didn't teach them how to manage credit cards and loans and how to invest. And I know that schools are trying to make up the gap in financial education, and I'm actually impressed with the strides that they're making. Like some curricula focus on personal financial literacy within this content area called 21st Century Life and Careers, and they educate kids throughout elementary and middle and high school, and they're actually doing a pretty decent job with some curricula, and they cover a wide breadth of topics, a lot more financial education topics than what I had when I was a kid. So some of them are pretty neat, and even if your school doesn't offer these financial topics, you can check these out and gain education by Googling a lot of what these terms mean, and also watch a bunch of YouTube videos like I try to do my part in offering financial education about how to use credit cards the best way, or how I like to invest, which is in the style of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, some of the greatest of all time. And to start with, let's check out some of these topics from one curricula example where they start out discussing income and careers, where by the end of grade 4, kids should be able to explain how income affects spending and take-home pay, and also by the end of 8th grade, how they should be able to relate how career choices, education choices, skills, entrepreneurship, and economic conditions affect income. And also by the end of grade 12, how students should be able to differentiate between taxable and non-taxable income, or also analyze and critique various sources of income and available resources like financial assets, property, and transfer payments, and also how they may substitute for earned income. And then in the area of money management, by the end of grade 4, students would be able to differentiate between financial wants and needs, or explain what a budget is and why it is important, or identify ways to earn and save. And by the end of 8th grade, kids should be able to distinguish among cash, check, credit card, and debit cards, and also justify the concept of paying yourself first as a financial savings strategy, which I actually think is super important to pay yourself first. Even before you pay any of your financial obligations and bills, paying yourself first is super important, and I couldn't emphasize that more. And then also relate the concept of deferred gratification to investment and meeting financial goals and building wealth. And then with credit and debt management, some topics include explaining why people borrow money and the relationship between credit and debt, and determining personal responsibility related to borrowing and lending. And then when it comes to planning, saving, and investing, You should be able to distinguish between saving and investing and determine how saving contributes to financial well-being, and also calculate short and long-term returns on various investments like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, IRAs, deferred pension plans, and so on, and assess the impact of inflation on economic decisions and lifestyles, and also determine factors that influence consumer decisions related to money. And in civic financial responsibility, explain the roles of philanthropy, volunteer service, charitable contributions, and analyze their impact on community development and quality of living, and relate a country's economic system of production and consumption to building personal wealth and achieving societal responsibilities. And finally, with insuring and protecting, describe how valuable items might be damaged or lost and ways to protect them, and explain why it is important to develop plans for protecting current and future personal assets against loss, and analyze the risks and benefits in various financial situations. So across all these diverse and really deep topics, there's so much to learn, and I especially emphasize how you should understand what it means when you're risking your money when it comes to investing, because investing is not guaranteed and people can lose money when they invest their money. So it's important to understand the differences between investing and trading, and also what it means to be saving money and how that differs from investing and trading. And there's so much to learn across all of these topics that I wouldn't be able to go into all of these, but you can see you have plenty of homework to do with these topics. So the moral of the story is that they do teach financial literacy in school, but it might not be in enough states and schools. So you might be better off finding people you can trust, like mentors and family members who can teach you good financial and investing habits. And while I'm not a financial advisor, if you've got questions for me, I'll do my best to answer, because I really love helping people and I'm trying to help us be as financially literate as we can be. And if you enjoyed this video or learned something, please like and subscribe. And I wish you well on your journey to reaching not only financial literacy, but also achieving a lot of financial success in life. Till next time.